the former vice president has yet to name who will be his running mate. Despite originally eyeing August 1st for the big announcement, now sources say we can expect for another week to pass before he reveals it. Our next guest ran against one of the top contenders, Senator Kamala Harris, in 2016. Here now is former chairman of the California Republican Party, Tom Del Beccaro. Tom, good morning to you.
Griff, great to see you. How you doing?
Great, but I wish we would know who the running mate would be for Vice President Biden. What's with this delay?
Well, it's not a good sign. Remember, he originally talked about May, and then the convention got pushed back. But there's really only one way to look at a delay, which is they're not ready. Why aren't they ready? Because they can't find a unifying candidate, and they know it. There was no unifying presidential candidate. Biden was a last resort to get away from Bernie Sanders. And his choices for VP, now that he has required it to be a woman of color, none of them are unifying either. And so I think he still has to sell his pick to his group, and then he's going to have to sell it to the country. And I'm not sure it's going to sell at all.
Looks like it may be a bit of a publicity thing, because if he announces the week of August 10th and the DNC starts the 17th, that will certainly generate headlines. Meanwhile, you mentioned who that candidate may be. We saw a headline yesterday. I want to bring it up again from the Sacramento Bee out there. Biden will likely pick Kamala Harris for VP. Here's why Karen Bass is a better choice. They go into it, Bass having to deal with her own issues after a video surfaced of her speaking at a Scientology event. What do you make about Bass versus Harris or anyone else?
Well, what that headline is telling you is what we know in California. Remember, Dianne Feinstein came out early for Biden, not her senatorial partner. Why is that? Because Kamala Harris is viewed as selfishly ambitious. All politicians are ambitious to a certain extent, but Harris doesn't seem to be out there helping others or being a team player. That's what that SAC-B report was about, talking about how Bass was trying to help her constituents. Right. But this tells you where the party is. Bass said that the loss of Fidel Castro was a great loss to the Cuban people. That's how far left they are.
Tom, in the time we've got left, let me take the Kamala Harris argument. She, as a DA in San Francisco, launched a thing that really redid sending young people to jail for low-level drug crimes. As the California Attorney General, had the mandatory body cameras worn on officers. How is she not the best candidate when she leads on a lot of prison reform, police reform, those sorts of things?
Well, she's shifting those positions. Early on, she was all about being a DA, but during the presidential race last year, when the lack of law and order came to the fore for the Democrats, she seemed to abandon those positions. Now, look, she's a good fundraiser. Emily List loves her. She's an attractive candidate. But for the Biden campaign, they have to look over their shoulder because she's very ambitious. And you saw how she went after him in the debate. They don't know that they can trust her under the White House. Maybe they pick her anyway, but they don't have one good pick. And that's what's troubling the Biden camp and, frankly, all of the Democrats.
We shall be watching. Tom Del Beccaro, thank you very much for joining us. Have a great Sunday.